The following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Yo, what is up, y'all? It's me, K Double, and I'm here with the one and only Alpha. What's up, sir?
Hell yeah. Back again in the middle, 48 days into the virus.
Yeah, man, this pandemic is affecting us from all ends. You know, we're going to talk a little bit later about how it's affecting the wrestling world in a big way today, during this week. But we're also going to discuss how it's affecting the TV world. You know, I made a comment to Alpha, I don't remember if it was on the show or if it was off air, about the fact that, you know, people are going to start taking this pandemic seriously and going to be more upset about it once it starts affecting their TV watching schedule. Because right now they can sit at home and watch new episodes of this and binge watch that and so on and so forth. But eventually it's going to catch up because a lot of TV production places shut down. You know, we talked about previously earlier, or on the last episode we talked about how we didn't, episode before last, about how Black Widow is potentially being pushed back almost indefinitely until the movie theaters open back up, because Marvel doesn't want to do the whole, you know, view at home thing because they don't want to miss out on that money.
Exactly. They already did that with Onward, which we'll get a little bit more into later on. Right. That's not a risk that they're going to take with the big MCU titles, though.
Right. Well, the way it was put in this YouTube video I was watching was they're not. A lot of the Marvel properties probably aren't going to see their day on stuff like that because of the fact that they as far as the rent from home type situation, they're not going to see that because these are movies that could potentially make up to $1 billion worldwide. You know, in the theaters, there's no way they're going to let go of that billion.
Yeah, above all else, that's a lot of money that they'd be missing out on if they went straight to Disney Plus or straight to video like that.
Exactly. Now, Onward was an animated movie that probably cost an eighth of a movie like Black Widow. So, yeah, of course Disney can afford to take the hit and put that out because on Disney Plus, like Trolls World Tour, which I'm going to be watching with my daughter a little later on tonight. I'm renting it off of Amazon Prime. It's $20 to rent, but once again, overhead on that type of movie, because it's animated, is nowhere near what a Marvel movie would be. So they're at minimum probably going to make their money back and wash on a Trolls World Tour, renting it out like that, just like it's a wash with Onward, because Onward had actually been released in the theater for a week or two, so they made a little bit of money on it in the theaters before the theaters got shut down.
Okay.
So I want to say for at least like a few days, so like they could have easily made that money back on that initial opening weekend push, and then been like, okay, well, you know, we'll just drop it straight to digital, you know, right now, so that the people who would have went and saw it later can see it now for free. But at the end of the day, ultimately, I think that this pandemic, in this regard, is starting something new. Something that really wasn't that big of a deal before, because they've kind of hinted at and been recently throwing movies out there that you could rent at home, like movies that are in the theaters, but it wasn't as many of them as it is right now. But what I think is, what I mean by the pandemic is going to create a niche, is that I don't think it's going to go away afterwards. I think there's going to be certain movies that they're just going to release to be able to see them from home. And you'll be able to go,
a point with that.
You know, and you'll be able to go see them in the theaters if you want to see them in the theaters. Because, you know, some movies just have to be seen in the theaters. Like trust me, I loved Avengers Endgame, and I wouldn't mind of watching it on my homeboy's 80-inch flat screen with the surround sound, and it would have been great sitting in his living room, but it still was nothing like when I went to that theater. It still was.
Sometimes it just hits differently like that.
Yeah.
So there are a set of movies, and usually it's the ones in bigger scale, like Endgame, of course. I don't know about you, but for me, it's the movies like that. Just watching them in that big movie theater sort of style just hits differently.
It does. But I was saying all of this to get to it's already affecting the DC shows on the CW. I was reading an article the other day on we got this covered.com, and they were saying Flash, Supergirl, and Batwoman, we may not see the end of the seasons at all, depending on whether or not restrictions loosen on them being able to get back to recording. CW has, they said, about a month or so worth of episodes like in reserve, new episodes in reserve. But if they don't start recording some episodes before they air those, we may not get an end to the Flash season, Supergirl, or Batwoman. Which to me would be critical for Batwoman, because this is their first season.
Yeah.
So to not have a season finale...
Much like the XFL, which we'll get into later on, that first impression is golden, especially with Batwoman being such an underground character. Starting out and having season 1 be a fuck up would be so detrimental to the process of the show.
Now, I know that there's a lot of TV comic book fans that probably won't take this to heart, and it doesn't mean that they won't watch when the shows come back and all that. But it's just detrimental to momentum. There's a lot of casual viewers that you might not catch because of the incomplete season. So, but yeah.
Like, simply put, there are people that will just lose interest in it.
Right. They'll move on.
And that's just it.
Yep. That is the way people work. You know, they are they lose interest, and they lose interest quickly.
Exactly. You gotta keep that hook in there. You gotta keep their attention. And if you just go a few months without even continuing the story, who's gonna care about it by the time you can finish it? Like, yeah, of course we're gonna want to see the end of the Flash in 6 months. I'm not saying we're gonna forget about the Flash and not care about it by then.
Yeah, there's no way that we're just gonna forget about the Flash, like.
But it's the idea. There's just that big gap in time, you know.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, people move on.
Only time will
of
tell how
Netflix,
that goes, though.
On kind of a wrestling topic, but on the Netflix topic, have you had a chance at all to check out the Big Show show?
Oh, the one where he's like a dad.
Yeah. The sitcom of his that they have on Netflix. I haven't either. I was just wondering if you had, but I'm going to check it out. So I'll probably be talking about it on the next episode that we record.
I'll do that with you, because that shit looked really cute, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it did. It did. I just watched
adorable.
If you go to Netflix and you just hover over it, like over the, like, you know, put the little, you know, box, that little white box over the Big Show and let it play. The scene that they show there just hooked me. I was like, "Aw, that's cool."
Yeah,
like
a very like
go ahead.
little classic feel to it.
It brings me around to the fact that, first and foremost, just talking about television in general. I don't know if you probably are old enough to remember the later seasons, but I don't know if you're old enough to remember the earlier seasons. But I recently got my external hard drives I was telling you about working. And I've been rewatching. The George Lopez show.
I loved that shit, dude.
Man, I have forgotten how funny that show was. Like, it reminded me of old sitcoms. You know, the type of stuff I used to watch when I was a kid. And yeah, he was just hilarious. Like,
harkens back to shit like Home Improvement, like those little laugh track filled sort of family shows that you only find late at night.
Exactly. You know, and so that brings me to this quick story I'll tell you guys about an interaction I had with one of my coworkers at one of my essential coworkers at Home Depot.
Essential now.
Yeah. We were sitting there and he was tossing things into the basket, and I mean this one shot he missed the basket by a good like foot and a half, right? Because I go in after hours, so like there's hardly anybody there when we're there, so we always goofing around. So he threw it and he missed it, and he looks at me and he goes, "Missed it by that much," right? And he's a younger cat, so I walked over to him. I go, "Hey, do you even know where that's from?" He's like, "Well, I know the movie. I can't think of the name right now." I was like, I can guarantee you're thinking of the right movie. I was like, but you're not old enough to remember where that actually came from. And he's like, Okay, I was like, I know you know the movie Get Smart, but Get Smart used to be an
Mm,
old 50s television show. I was like, and that was kind of like one of the key phrases of the main guys. He would like shoot at somebody and he would miss them by a clear mile, and he would just be like, missed it by that much, and he would do, show the small little amount of space with his fingers, and it was just always hilarious. But I always do that with people that I meet with the younger generation, especially when they have those older quotes. It's like it's just kind of a me gauging, like, okay, like what do you know, or is that just something crazy you heard on YouTube so you repeated it? Like,
is that something you picked up, or do you get it? Get it?
right. And I told him, I was like, I gave him credit. I was like, you get it. I was like, okay, cool. I forget the movie that he's speaking of, the Get Smart movie from the early 2000s, features Dwayne the Rock Johnson and Steve Carell as the main character. So for any of you guys who want to go check it out, like it's an excellent movie. And speaking of an excellent movie, another movie that me and my daughter are going to be watching tonight, probably the last movie before we go to bed, is called Legend of Billie Jean. It's a movie from like 1987. Okay.
Really? I have
Yes.
not heard of that. Please,
It's
please.
on Amazon Prime. If you have a Prime account, you can rent it for $2.99, or you can outright buy it for $6. I'm going to be outright buying it. Uh, but
Mm-hmm.
it's an amazing movie. Basically, it's this story about this girl in this small town, and she's just kind of like this rebel child, but not like really like a bad girl, but she's just like she's breaking against the traditional values of the town, and it's this wild ride that she goes on, being chased by the police and all the rest of this stuff. And it's an amazing movie. It's just a real good movie to watch. It's really interesting, especially if you allow yourself to just suspend all disbelief and just allow yourself to engulf yourself in the
Just
movie.
enjoy it.
Right. The music is great. Pat Benatar does one of her. Uses one of her. They use one of her major tracks. It was, I believe it's called "Irresistible." I played it on my Pat Benatar show. I can't remember the name of the song. I'll think of it later, but yeah. And so like it's just a movie I suggest, like to people, just an older school movie that I suggest. It goes along with this other movie called 3 O'clock High from my childhood. 3 O'clock High was hilarious because it was basically your classic bully story. Like new guy comes to the school, he's a badass, and then you got the dorky kid who accidentally does something to piss him off. So the new big badass dude is gonna beat his ass after school, and the whole movie is
Classic.
about, yeah, exactly. The whole movie is about the dorky dude trying to get out of the fight or figure out ways to not have to fight the dude. Yeah, like yeah, 3 O'clock High,
I thought it
another
was a
good
fun
one.
little trope.
It's yeah. So
Yeah, I
just a
dig it.
couple of suggestions there from like like we'll talk more about some other ones like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I'll talk about on another episode. But yeah, those are just movies that I recommend to people. So the K double stamp of approval. There you go. Uh,
Hey, where's the sound effect?
I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it. Now, but yeah. So that's that. So now let's get on
Mhm.
to Onward. You saw it as well, and I believe
I
we
did,
actually talked
but
about
it's
it
more
on the
fresh
show.
in your mind, so I want to see you go first on this.
Okay, so for me, I thought it was an excellent. It was an excellent movie. It was told from the perfect point of view to get the point across that they wanted to get across. Coming from the younger brother who never really got to know dad before dad died. And having that older brother who has a little bit of memory of dad, but not really like a lot. And they've kind of had to watch out for each other throughout their lives. Well, big brothers had to look out for little brother, more so to speak. And this is kind of that coming into the little brother kind of growing up and pulling his weight, so to speak. Um, but for me, I loved it because I even looked at it from one other, and you can tell me what you think about this. I even looked at it from one other third type of way. When he was sitting there all mad, when the little brother was sitting there all mad and sad, um,
Mm-hmm.
that he's not going to get to see dad because it's almost sundown and all that. I thought they were going to go in a different direction with it. I thought he was going to come to the realization that he had made memories with his dad because his dad had been there through that whole adventure and trip for them to get where they were. So he had been making memories with his pops. He had been checking things off of his list with his dad.
And then they hit you with an even bigger swerve.
Right. Then they hit me with the bigger swerve when he comes to the realization that that he's checking off everything on the list with his big brother. And he kind of learns to love and appreciate his big brother. And don't get me wrong, that was a badass scene with him fighting the big construction dragon and friggin' and doing all the magic stuff. Dragon. Yeah, that was tight. He's sliding under the tail, and I was like, "Get it, kid!" And he's doing a little lightning. I was like, "Yeah."
Going into the movie, it was like I feel like I've seen that animation style and that like moral of the movie a million times over.
Yeah.
But then it threw all types of little curves and little fun acts that I didn't expect anywhere else. Like there is a Manticore like who plays this Queen Latifah-esque character, and I shit you not, it's one of the most enjoyable things.
The Manticore is hilarious. Manticore was funny, huh? Said the Manticore was funny.
I loved it.
Yeah. I was talking to my daughter real quick.
Oh,
like when she snaps and starts destroying everything in the damn restaurant. Get out!
What have I become?
I used to be somebody. I love it. She goes, cool. Yeah, it was just overall, it was a really, really well done movie. I believe it was a Pixar movie.
It was. I think was it Pixar? Was that Disney?
It has Maddie's. We have Maddie's confirmation that yes, it was a Pixar movie.
We have the pro.
Yeah, we have the pro. She knows. Maybe for our next episode we'll record a Maddie movie review.
Maddie approved.
Yep.
But as someone like I personally didn't get to grow up with my father too close around, and so I'm one of 7, and I'm the second oldest. So as you can imagine, I've had a pretty close relationship with all of my younger siblings, and like being able to see that sort of style of movie and being like appreciated as an older brother who damn near raised the people below me, it's real nice to see.
No,
and especially it's like the older brother was a chubby fucking dude who wears sleeveless denim vests
and plays Dungeons and Dragons, basically.
Exactly. Like my family saw that shit and they were like, "Bro, is this you?" I was like, "Look, I don't need these shots at me today.
Pixar owes you some money, dog. You better get your movie check.
Get my royalties, damn it."
For those of you who don't know where that reference is from, that's from Jay and Silent Bob, Strike Back, the first movie. That's the whole reason why they traveling across town trying to get to Hollywood is because they trying to go get their mother movie check.
and even hearkening to that too, like connecting, my little brother just started watching those movies, and he was like, "Where have these shits been my whole life?"
Oh, really? He just got into the View universe. Expediente.
Yeah. The shit. I was like, "Yes, begin your journey."
Yes. Now let's start with Clerks, son. Let me introduce you to
Clerks is a masterpiece.
Yes, it's like
that's not a movie. That's a work of art.
It was, and to think that the whole movie was made for basically $100,000. He basically used like landmarks in his own like neighborhood and area to just go record, and made that movie for $100,000. And that movie's still making money.
That shit worked because the script was golden.
Yep. Kevin Smith, writer extraordinaire.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
But there's our Kevin Smith appraisal for the show.
There you go.
There's our mandated Kevin Smith compliment. But no, yeah, as a whole, it was a really cool little movie. It threw all types of little twists and turns that I didn't expect, and as the metal chubby white dude that plays D&D, it struck a special little chord in me. And I didn't even find out until after the movie that it was fucking Chris Pratt and Tom Holland.
Nice. Well, I'll say movies have a tendency to hit you more in the heart when you can see yourself in any of the characters. They have a tendency to hit you right through the feels. Which reminds me of a scene. I don't know how big of a fan. I believe you said you were pretty big. I don't know how big of a fan of The Big Bang Theory you were.
I dig that shit.
Yeah, but okay, so there's the episode when Will Wheaton comes over to Penny's house to record the podcast, to do an interview with her for the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I forget what it was, because first Leonard was telling her about all the people that Will Wheaton is interviewed, and he's naming off all these like Star Trek people, Star Wars people, stuff like that. And she goes, "Those are Star Trek people." And she turns to Will and she goes, "I know that because I don't know who any of them are." And Will Wheaton's like, "I guess I asked for that because I did come over here and ask you to be on my podcast." And I was just like, and then she says something else that's like really insulting to Star Trek, and he's like, "Right in the ears, right to the feels." And I was just like, Will Wheaton is funny. Period. Like he is despite how serious his character was on the actual show Star Trek, Will Wheaton himself is just comedy gold.
He is like it's all about his delivery.
Yes.
Like no one delivers it as like in the deadpan sort of fuck you tone that Will Wheaton can convey.
Exactly. I would say Will Wheaton and Ryan Reynolds are the only two that I've really, really ever seen that just have perfected that style. You know, yeah. You know, you see Ryan Reynolds in the Deadpool movies, you know, the Deadpool movies, and then you have whatchamacallit in the just being himself. Will Wheaton just being himself. So, yeah, I remember that show he had. What was the name of that show? It was on the Sci-Fi Network.
Yeah, I'm blanking.
It was like, it was kind of like The Daily Show or Tosh.0, but Will Wheaton was the host. Really? Yeah, you should check it out. I got to look it up online, try to find the name of it.
If you find that, tell me. I got you. But no, yeah, it's always the funniest shit that Will Wheaton just plays Will Wheaton at that point. And that's just it. And you got to accept it.
Yep. Let's see. No.
You good?
Yeah, no, I'm looking up I'm trying to see what the name of that show was.
I got you.
I guess he's on Picard too.
Oh, of course he is. You will. I shit you not, man. You will. Among all of like nerd culture, you will not see a single man defended as much as that man.
You know,
Jean-Luc Picard is like the messiah all around. Like if you're an Elder Scrolls nerd, he was in Oblivion. Sci-fi nerd, Star Trek. Comic nerd, Professor X.
Yep.
Dude's everywhere. Fucking immaculate.
Tell us. No.
Trying to fucking find it.
It was a geek talk show. Here it is. It said Will Wheaton, the host. It was back in 2014.
Is that fucking
I'm just looking for the name of the show. Oh, it was called the
Was
Will
that the
Wheaton
one-
Project, I believe.
That's
Yeah,
it?
it was called the Will Wheaton Project.
Damn. That just makes me think, like, you know what I miss, man?
What?
Fucking, I miss X Games.
Really?
Like, I like was it that? Or like, it was like that MTV show on the same channel as like Tosh.0 and shit.
Yeah.
Like, they would like review all the new video games and shit like that. And I would always get like all these insights and shit like that.
No, I know what you're talking about. And they moved it over to G4 for a little bit before G4 went under.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Was it
about.
X-Play?
Yeah.
I think it was X-Play.
X-Play, yeah, that was it. Yeah. Like, man, I missed
the
that.
hell out
I
of
miss
that.
G4. Like, I don't understand why why it ended up going bankrupt. I guess enough people,
Dude.
there wasn't enough people watching. But, like, I thought it was awesome to have an entire network based around video games.
Exactly. Like, G4 and OG MTV was some good TV, dude.
Cause see, I would rather I love how ESPN and TBS and all them are covering the esports. Like, you know, TBS has E-League that they do on some Friday nights. You know, and and friggin', you know, ESPN does esports. G4 would have been the perfect place to make into basically ESPN for gamers.
Oh, that would have been great, dude. You can get scholarships for being good in esports now, man.
Yep.
no one can look me in the eyes and tell me esports is not a legitimate league now. I have friends who go to tournaments and play Smash and walk out with $500 a tournament.
Oh, bro. We talked about the Madden tournament. The last year's Madden tournament winner received, I think, $2.5 million.
Exactly, dude. You have 16-year-olds walking out with millions of bucks in just E-League here.
You know, the guys who do like the CS:GO tournaments that they show on E-League on TBS, those guys walk out with they split like $1.5 million between the six of them.
Dude, the people who play, I think it's among like Fortnite, Rainbow, and like League, like the big mobile ones where people go to the big tournaments too. There is so much cash in that, it's not even funny. And I've heard of people moving countries to professionally play games here, and they make it.
Yep. Bro, okay, so it takes me back because it's weird because like being 40 plus years old, I've witnessed a lot of things go from like square one to where they are now. And these video game competitions, like I said, Nintendo used to put on one back in the day called the Power Fest. And basically what they did is the Power Fest traveled around the country, and you got kind of a winner in every city. And then those winners would be gathered together at some point to decide on a grand winner, and that winner would win like $100,000. But if you won your regional or your city or your area or wherever they were at, to get to that final level, you had already won like 40 or 50K. Now, mind you, this is back in the 80s. This is back like 88, 89.
Exactly. Like before this shit was even really, really like
what it is today.
Taken seriously as a business.
Right. And now I'm watching these kids make millions. Not only make millions playing the games from winning the contest, but now these esports leagues are catching endorsements and signing $1 million endorsement deals, and these teams are individually signing endorsement deals. These kids literally can afford to do nothing but sit at home and play and prepare for the next tournament.
Exactly. It's like that shit pays itself forward at that point.
Exactly.
You have people actually like being paid to go to fucking college because they're that good at Rainbow Six Siege.
Yep.
That shit is great. And can you imagine telling someone that like 40 years ago? That like you can walk into a just a room full of like-minded people and beat the shit out of someone playing as Kirby and walk out with more money than I make in a fucking 6-month period?
Yeah, no. You know? Man, I tell you, like, it's just one of those type of things where I wish I had put a little bit more time into playing video games, to be honest with you, when I have free time.
Crazy.
Wish I'd been as obsessive compulsive about it. But yeah. But overall, man, like wrapping it back around to the first subject of the block, this COVID shit is not just messing with the sports world, it's messing with everything. And like we're going to get into after the break that's coming up here, how it's affecting the wrestling world as well. And it's just having some huge impact.
Small tidbit real quick then.
Yeah.
We're going to go into that. Rick May. I don't know if anybody has been able to play a game called Team Fortress 2. It's a cool little free title. I suggest playing it. It's real fun, but it's been around for a long while, and the voice cast of the characters is something that's like become very prolific to the community as a whole. And one of the main voice actors for the cast actually passed away of COVID-19 earlier this week.
Wow. Yeah, man. Like I still don't get these people that are trying to make this out to be a government conspiracy. It's just like, people, this shit's real. Just take it seriously. Do what we're being told to do, and let's do it. Like. Because I'm tired of people dying. You know, luckily I have not had any personal family members pass away, but I've known a couple of my coworkers and a couple of friends of mine on Facebook that have lost family members to this. So, like, it's real, folks. Like, take it seriously. That's all I can say.
And a lot of people are telling me, like, you know, you need to go see your family, talk to your people in case anything happens. And it's like, dude, I am hearing way too much about people going around talking about, oh, this was just a flu And then a few weeks later, they're here like, oh, my grandparents dead, guys. You guys got to take this seriously. Like, no, I'm good. I'll take this seriously beforehand. Yeah. I'm not going to take that risk.
Exactly. I'll be honest to people. Like, I get sad sometimes because I haven't seen my mother in almost a month. Simply because I still have to go out. I still work. I don't want to risk her getting sick. You know, my daughter, who used to see my mother every week, hasn't seen my mother in almost a month other than on video chat because of all this shit. Because we ain't playing with that. We're not going to risk her getting sick. You know? So,
just stay safe.
Yep. That's what we're telling everybody. All right, so.
Cannot stress that enough.
Do you have any Alphas editions for today, or?
I do.
All right.
So, it is, what's today?
Today is Thursday,
not like
17th.
Not like the 17th. Okay,
or the 16th,
cool.
Sorry, 16th.
16th, okay.
Yeah.
I comped myself, for the first time, a Dark Souls game.
Nice.
On
just
April
so y'all
1st.
know, I know y'all are listening to this on Sunday the 19th, but when we're recording it, it's Thursday the 16th, just so y'all know. Go ahead.
Don't worry. I have an in-game with that day. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I copped myself the entirety of Dark Souls 3 on April 1st. All the DLC, all of it. Full game, right? And this is my first time ever touching a Dark Souls game, and anyone who is privy to the knowledge of the Dark Souls reputation, you know it's not exactly an easy game series.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the most forgiving of games.
Right.
And that's the reputation it's garnered over the last over a decade now. But I'm real deep into the games. I really focus on like mechanics and really getting good at games. It's what I'm known for among my family. And I can tell you, I got utterly dick slapped for my first few times around. It is a gut check. Like, you know, I don't know about you, but I spend all this time playing games. Like, all right, this is going to be easy. I go into it now. I was made to look like a child. I was brought down to that level.
No, but, you were in the sports world. We call it being humbled.
Yeah, I was very much humble. But 15 days later, I can say I'm on new game plus 3 now, meaning my third run of the game, almost 200 hours logged in, character level 192. So I'm pretty deep in there, and I'm a lot better at the game.
Nice.
But I'll just tell you, it's been a fucking experience to get that gut check.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm about to. I'm pretty sure I'm about to experience it by next week because, you know, with my money situation the way it is right now, I'm going to check my hard drive for my PlayStation, and if it's almost full, I'm going to get another one. They got a 5 terabyte one on sale on Amazon that I'm going to go on ahead and buy because I'm looking to download the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, I already beat you to it.
Yeah, and I've heard it's damn good. So,
oh man, it is. If you're a big fan of like Eris and like all of the grandeur and bullshit that is Sephiroth, then I tell you, dude, like there were certain points where you're just gonna get chills.
Well, say now, me and my boy were talking about it. I believe it was Steve. I don't know. Maybe we were talking about it on the show too. That hopefully they'll give you the option to save Eris when they get to that point in this one. Hopefully. You know, for those of you, spoiler alert, for those of you who never played Final Fantasy before, who never played the original Final Fantasy VII, I'm about to talk about something that happens a little later on in the game. It'll be in a future game in this particular case. But the character Ares, who you will grow to love, I don't care how cold your heart is, trust me, by the time you get to this point in the game, when she...
the one constant in your heart, baby.
Yeah, exactly. You will be attached to her. But in the original game, there was no option to save her. It was a cutscene, and you literally had to sit there and watch her get killed. And she was one of your most powerful She was your most powerful healer.
Yeah. No healer was as good as fucking Ares. And
exactly.
That was the problem.
And not to mention the fact
I don't know about you, but I stabbed on the shit out of her.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, it was just one of those type of things where, man, when I watched her, I had to stop. When that scene was over and they brought me back to play, I was like, nah, nearest save point, please.
Go
Yeah,
back, fuck, go back.
I'm gonna need to come back to you
Hey,
in a couple of days. Like, I can't believe
I
y'all
gotta take
did
this
me
in
like
real
that.
quick.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? My brain
I,
gotta process this shit. Like, how y'all gonna give me this amazing character? Every cutscene with her was awesome. All this depth to this character, and then snatch her away from me. Nah, I'm good. Like,
it,
I'll come
it's
back.
not even like it's not even brutal in the way that it happens. It's just the fact that you see Sephiroth just fall down with his sword, and it's like, oh no, you know how this is gonna go.
Yep.
You know how this goes.
Oh. But yeah, so yeah,
Mm.
I can't wait. But
The
that's evidently
quintessential
going to
villain.
be a couple of games away
Huh?
because evidently this game only covers Midgard,
Mm-hmm.
like the
Yeah,
first few stages of the game.
this is only
So
the first section, I believe.
yeah, so
But
you
going
won't.
back to my point though,
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I was just letting the warning the people listening that you won't have to experience that with this particular game, but in the future parts, in the other parts, because it's part one and there'll be part two and part three. In the other parts, you will get to that scene. And trust
Oh
me,
yeah,
by the
prepare your
time you
heart.
get to it, you will be invested in Ares. There's no way around it. You will be invested in
Prepare your
her.
heart.
So, anyway, you were saying?
But yeah, no, Dark Souls as a whole has been an incredible experience. Like if you're really deep into the levels of like it's a game series that you can play without ever understanding the story in
I
like
like those.
a
Kind of
very
like,
direct manner. It is really cool. It's a game series that you have to really put it all together to understand it, and it
nice.
digs into the nihilism of like the how fate goes, and if regardless of how you want to survive, if surviving is still the good idea, given the state of how things could be in land that you're in these games. And it digs into some really, really cool shit. I implore everyone to try it at least once. And it's hard, but the best way I can describe it is it's very classic. It doesn't, it feels like I'm not playing something that's unfair or cheap. It
Yeah.
feels like I'm playing something that I have to openly hone my skill at and
It's
learn the
balanced.
timing and mechanics and get better at. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You cannot take it as a stressful experience, take it as a challenge, and the whole thing changes.
Nice.
Suddenly it's exhilarating, and suddenly you're growing as a player, and that shit feels great.
Awesome.
So it's actually on deal in the PlayStation Store right now. The game's usually like 40 to $60. I comp it for less than 20.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I gotta
I
get. See,
implore everyone to pick that up on that deal. Try it at least once. And honestly, dude, if you get that shit, I'll probably play it with you.
nice.
Because it is co-op.
Now, well, I'll say, see, that game always reminded me. I rented that game from GameFly a long time ago. All right, and played it. The
Mm-hmm.
first one, the original one, and I liked it.
Ooh, that's
It
so
kind
one,
of,
baby.
it kind of reminded me of Devil May Cry.
Mm-hmm. It is that level of difficulty, like
Yeah,
like Devil May Cry and Ninja Gaiden, in the way
yeah,
that it's like, yeah, it's hard, but you know, if you keep at it, you'll get good. Though.
exactly. You will learn. You will learn the necessary patterns to get to where you need to go, or get done what you need to get done. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
But that's my little Alpha's edition. Dark Souls
nice.
3 is the quintessential beginning of the series. So if you're going to check it out based on what I'm saying, despite being the third in the series, Dark Souls 3 is meant for beginners and people new to the series.
Okay,
So
nice.
if you seek it out, that is my 2 cents.
There you go. So Alpha's recommendation on Alpha's edition. There you go.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump into our commercial break right quick. When we come back from that, we're going to talk some WWE and some AEW. And let's just say this. I've got some words for the AEW fans who think it's unfair that Vince McMahon and WWE is allowed to go back to recording live shows, but AEW can't quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
I got some news for y'all.
But we'll
as
dig
to
into
why,
that though.
but we'll dig into that.
We'll get you. We'll get you.
You're listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the 4Aces Presents Radio Network. Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever you may find your favorite podcasts.
Interruption in progress. Now hijacking into ANS 2.0 immersion rig. Now simulating the Amazing Nerd Show, featuring comics.
And Batman's like, you're safe here and everything, but the Joker all of a sudden pulls out a gun and shoots himself.
Movies.
People fight with lightsabers. What the hell do you want? I mean, in every one of these movies, there's a lightsaber battle.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna rewatch it a million times.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, give me something more.
Wrestling.
That would be awesome. Oh my god, just a monster. Fans would be like, holy, what the hell's going on? What happened to Jericho?
Horror.
It starts off like any other like home invasion type of story, and then it just goes crazy.
And more.
Hey, this is Christian.
Hey, this is Damon.
And we are the Amazing Nerd Show.
Make sure to download us on all your favorite podcast platforms.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
Wow. All right. So Alpha over here dropping knowledge on me off air. Well, first and foremost, a moment of silence for the loss of the wrestling world, the one, the only, the voice of my childhood watching wrestling, Howard Finkel.
Mm-hmm.
So, passed away earlier today.
The boy.
Yeah, but he was just telling me that, I guess, you go ahead and tell them what you was just telling me.
Yeah, I didn't even know this, but I found out through the Twitter of Vince McMahon and Stephanie, but apparently Howard Finkel is credited as the first ever employee of the WWE.
Wow, that's
which
insane.
Is fucking insane, but no, yeah, I don't know about you, but in my eyes, Howard Finkel was and always will be the single greatest wrestling announcer and forever the voice of wrestling.
Well, now let's see. Now having got Jimmy Snuka taking on Rowdy Piper, taking on, you know what I'm saying? And now they got the announcer up there with Howard Finkel, or they already got Gorilla Monsoon up there to do commentary. Then they got Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon on commentary. They got Howard Finkel doing the ring announcing, and they got Mean Gene Okerlund doing the backstage interviews. Man, heaven is lit right now.
Having a fucking party.
Hell yeah.
Fucking hell. Jim Ross said that he's up there announcing in heaven, and honestly, that shit is reassuring. I love to see the world come together like that, just for one common dude that really did have an effect on wrestling.
He did. You know, it's like you said, possibly one of the greatest ring announcers ever to exist. Now, I could have done without the Howard Finkel tuxedo matches that happened later in his career. I could really have done without those, but he gave us some great moments throughout wrestling history.
We don't talk about those.
Yeah, listening to him announce the Undertaker's entrance to the ring, he'd always get that deep voice from Death Valley, California. And it's like, yeah, get it,
buddy. Personally, my favorite was when he announced CM Punk in at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
He went to go challenge Alberto Del Rio for the WWE Championship, and Del Rio came out with Ricardo Rodriguez, and he announced him out, and then, the announcer went to go announce CM Punk, and he was like, no, wait. By request of the challenger, special guest announcer for this man will be the Howard Finkel. Everyone just fucking loses it.
Hell yeah.
And Howard Finkel comes out, and he just takes in those cheers from him, and you can tell that dude's on the brink of tears, and it's just... wow,
being recognized for what you have studied and worked hard to become, to be recognized for that is emotionally a moving moment, period. For anybody, it's an emotionally moving moment to be recognized in general for what you do and you work so hard to do well. So,
no one deserves that spot more than the Fink.
Oh yeah, but all right, so we have to kind of continue on that sad note from Mr. Finkel's death to the current climate in wrestling and its effects by the coronavirus. Not only are we getting shows with no fans, which are interesting to watch. I see a lot of people complaining about it, but I like it. Like I said, to me, it creates a bigger focus on the actual talent and what they're doing in ring, without the distractions of fans taking over the match with chants and so on and so forth. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll be happy when the crowds come back, but I'm not mad at what it is now.
Exactly. I don't know about you, but to me, it's showing like who can really work and who can't. Mm-hmm. Because you can pick out who can take this and run with it and make it work and still envelop you in the wrestling and still suspend your belief, versus those who can't. Yep. And that's really shown through who can really carry this shit or not.
Oh, so something real quick I want to talk about off the top of the show, only because of the fact that I know it real quick, only because I know I don't want to forget it for later in the show. The amazing, the incomparable, the amazing Timothy Thatcher made his NXT debut last night.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Alongside Matt Riddle, defending the NXT Tag Team championships against Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. Oh man, was that match great.
I don't know about you, but I look at Timothy Thatcher and it's just like, that is one hard motherfucker.
Bro, to me, the dude could be called the prototype. Like, cause to me, he is what a wrestler should be. Just mean, gritty. Ooh. Loved watching him go last night. That was amazing.
Always. Like, I don't know if you have been exposed to his work alongside Walter.
No.
Like, Thatcher and Walter had a very good working relationship in the Indies. I believe, I don't know if you've noticed on the back of Walter's trunks, they say ring comp. Because that's the stable that he had in the Indies. And Thatcher was one of the core members of Ring Comp, and that's where I was really like exposed to a lot of his really good matches and his really good work. And like, I don't know, just seeing him pop out of absolutely nowhere was mwah.
Yes. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because that was really the only part of NXT that I got to watch last night was that main event, because I was dealing with all the stuff with the TVs and everything that I was telling you about. But I was thoroughly impressed with Timothy Thatcher. I had heard of him before on the indies. Like, I had heard of him multiple times over the past few years. Like, I knew who he was. I had just never really seen a lot of his major work. And like you were talking about the stuff with Walter, I had never seen any of that. But I had seen a couple of his indie matches. I forget from where it was at, where he was when I saw it, but what company he was working for or promotion he was working for when I saw it. But, like, I've seen him work before, and I can definitely say the dude can go. So, like, it was amazing watching him go in the ring. And his, I tell you, dude, just like with and almost to an extent, to another level, like, his interactions with Matt Riddle were just hilarious. Like Matt Riddle went to go put his arm around him. He's like, man, get off me.
Stop that shit. Exactly. Like, somehow you managed to convey me more character development and emotion through Timothy Thatcher's first match than a lot of people have gone in the last year.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll take that shit and run with it.
And run away, all the way to the bank. Run, Forrest, run. Well, I'll say, but yeah, but getting back to the somber note, I just wanted to get that up note in there real quick while it was on my mind. I want to say it was upwards of 17 wrestlers were released from WWE yesterday.
Yep, I have the list. You want me to read it out?
Go for it.
Yep, what people are calling Black Wednesday, this big mass exodus of people that got dropped. I have my little reason as to why. I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but I'll give my 2 cents after. But the list goes as Kurt Angle, Drake Maverick, otherwise known as Rockstar Spud, Kurt Hawkins, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Heath Slater, Eric Young, EC3, Aiden English, Leo Rush, Sarah Logan, Eric Rowan, Primo and Epico Colon, Murray and Mike Kanellis, Zack Ryder, Noe Jose, Rusev, Senior Referee Mike fucking Chioda, Hurricane Shane Helms, Lance Storm, and Fit Finlay are the list of people that are on a public basis out of the job now. And, every year they come through and they do spring cleaning. We're used to this by now. But I don't know about you, but something about the list of people that they dropped this time is just sad. Like, I've known Zack Ryder as the WWE guy, and shit's bad.
And I'll say it like this. I will expect that some of these people will be picked back up again once all this shit's over with. Depending on how long it takes. I'm pretty sure most of these people are going to find trouble even finding most indie promotions are shut down right now. Because most states are not allowing gatherings of over 10 or 12 people. So most indies, they're and AEW, everybody's talking about, they can run the AEW. I don't know how many times I can explain it to people. The son, Tony Khan, is the fan of wrestling. Not the father, but the father is the one that determines how much money is spent on this project. And I just don't see him agreeing to continue to pay wrestlers to basically sit at home for the long run when AEW itself is not generating any money. Right now, they're going to be able to continue generating money because they pre-taped, like they said, all the way till the end of May, Dynamites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they have enough material to last through the end of May, but if they're not able to go back to work by then,
what's going to happen?
What's going to happen? I'm pretty sure this guy isn't going to continue to pay these wrestlers just to sit at home and do nothing.
Exactly.
And so
he's not Vince. He's not going to hire those people just to keep them under the wing and keep them away from people.
So I'm not saying they won't get signed by AEW, but it's not going to happen immediately. Don't expect it to happen right now. Don't expect them to be making a debut on Dynamite in like a month and a half, because there might not be a Dynamite in a month and a half. And AEW fans really have to come to this realization. WWE can withstand this. WWE can withstand the loss of revenue from live shows because they're a billion-dollar corporation. Just because the cons are worth billions doesn't mean that they're willing to spend billions on AEW. And AEW fans really need to come to that realization. It's not going to be that long before this is going to start affecting AEW financially. This dude's not willing to take a $500 million bath on AEW just because, no matter how much he's worth.
That's true. See, I'm not even the one to dig into those shots, but I hate the idea now that all these people are getting released, and instantly everyone's like, oh, AEW's going to pick them all up, and AEW's going to say, stop it. No, stop that shit. First off, not even Zack Ryder, who's close with Cody Rhodes himself. I don't even think he's going to end up with a job in AEW.
I don't either.
And I know at least one of those people might. I genuinely think Drake Maverick will go there because Drake Maverick was Rockstar Spud, and Rockstar Spud was a huge indie darling. I can see that. But you have people like Eric Rowan. True, yeah, I can see that too. But then you look at people like Eric Rowan, who have been brought up through NXT and are very much WWE guys who've worked the WWE style. Can you imagine the culture shock that's going to be for them?
Exactly. And then on top of that, to be honest with you, I'd love to see all of them go to AEW. Just so it can be proven that not everybody that WWE releases is a great talent because is a great talent and WWE just booked them badly. Go on ahead.
That's very true.
You know what I'm saying? Prove to everybody that WWE isn't always wrong whenever they release a wrestler. Not every wrestler that WWE releases was underused and misbooked. Some of them just didn't have the talent to live up to what was expected of them, and that's part of the reason why they got released. This round, I can't say that that's necessarily the case with any of these people, but I can honestly tell you, looking down the list, that there's a lot of those people that made sense. Maria and Mike Kanellis, as much as I love them, and as much as they were indie darlings when they came in, I don't think it was bad booking that ruined them. I think, they were given some shitty storylines, but they could have made them work a little bit better. But I don't necessarily think Maria and Mike Kanellis were WWE style. Like, let's just put it out there and let's say it. There are some wrestlers that are just more made for the indies and are more going to thrive on the indie circuit than they ever would in the corporate WWE environment. Period.
Exactly.
Just like there's
we've
some...
we've had the type talk.
Yeah, there's some musicians who work better out of their home studio in their garage that they built themselves than they would working for a record company and going and working in a corporate environment and having professional studio time. It's just the way it is. And there are just some people that are just not meant for WWE. And it's not because WWE doesn't know how to book them or doesn't know what to do with them. They're just not meant for WWE.
It's not the style.
Right.
Outright. But with that being said, though, I do want to follow that up with them releasing Leo Rush was a fucking mistake.
Yeah. But we also have to see...
I believe...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I can't call mistakes until after I see how everything plays out. You feel what I'm saying? Because, like I said, if we're back up and running by January of next year, there's a lot of these guys who might have their jobs back by January of next year. WWE is just releasing them right now. Like I said, look at the list and think about how often you've seen most of those people on TV recently. Short of Rusev, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, that's different. Rusev was more than happy to leave.
Right.
Quite frankly, I don't blame him. But,
right, and part of the reason why they cut Rusev is because of the contract disputes. You know, that they had been having for months leading up to this. You know, but outside of Rusev, really, really look at that list and think about how many times you've seen those people on television recently.
Exactly. It's like, when was the last time you saw No Way Jose and EC3 wrestle?
Exactly. So I'm
like,
just
a lot of those were the right decision. I'm not going to lie, but it does hurt to look at it like, really consider Kurt Angle and Leo Rush a budget cut?
Well, no, I don't think I think Kurt Angle was, because Kurt's contract he was making some skrill. Like, I honestly think I think there are certain people on there that it was just like, look, we know that come the end of 2020, unless something changes before the end of 2020, what this tells me is that Vince knows that he's not going to be able to get live show revenue. In other words, having fans there, full, like, arena fans before the end of this year. He knows it. So he's cutting revenue. He's cutting output now to make up for the fact that next year's numbers, as far as revenue go, are going to be significantly lower than previous years. You know, I recently was talking.
He's doing what Vince McMahon does, and he's being the right businessman here.
Right, he's putting business
no doubt
first.
About it.
Well, I was actually having a conversation with the AEW in the AEW discussion group, because the word around the idiot group is that Vince is only cutting all these people because he took a bath on the XFL. Bro, the XFL going into bankruptcy didn't even move Vince McMahon's bottom line. Like, I was reading up on an article from that came out shortly before in Forbes.com, shortly before the XFL launched, where they were talking, and Vince basically said that he had already planned to lose up to $500 million on the XFL over the next 3 years. Okay? So that means he was willing to lose up to $500 million on the XFL over the first 3 years of the business. Being that it didn't last 3 years, it didn't even last a full season, he probably only took a bath of about $70 to $80 million on the XFL. Maybe a couple $100 million. But to a dude that's worth close to $2 billion, That's like what that nigga finds in his couch cushions when he's doing spring cleaning. Like if you understand anything about money, like to a dude that's worth that much, like, dude, it didn't even move the needle.
That's pocket change.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, these cuts are about the big picture when it comes to the long-term success of WWE, not for Vince McMahon's bottom line. You know, and like I said, he knows that the revenue stream, because like I was laughing at this one dude because he's like, man, WWE, even before all this COVID shit, WWE was free falling and just about to go out of business. Okay.
Are you sure about that?
I'm like, okay, that's when I posted on my Facebook page a little joke where I said, I just learned something new today. Evidently, a company that did $924 million in revenue last year, almost $1 billion in revenue, and $200 million in profit last year, is in a free fall and going out of business, and is going to be out of business by next year. Wow, I didn't know that. Those sound like good numbers to me. You know, I must be stupid because all I got is a degree in business management. You know, so I must not understand how these numbers work at all.
Right.
You know, like it was just like I was just like, really, dude? Like, you honestly think the WWE is on their way out the door and going out of business because AEW is around? I'm like, bro.
For what it's worth, it's like Vince McMahon. You have to look at it like if everybody had a set of stats. And like there was stats for like raw intelligence.
Yeah.
And there was another for like business integrity. Well, not integrity, but just like business knowledge as a whole, I'd say. I'd say Vince McMahon is stat dumped 1 to intelligence, 99 to business.
Oh yeah. And 100%. And great D&D reference there. I'll say,
yeah.
But like really though, like if Vince McMahon is about as shrewd of a businessman. He's the Bill Belichick of wrestling promoters. He cares more about the overall product than he does individuals. And people call that callous, but it's a bit. He's used that thought process to develop the WWE into a global billion-dollar business. Like, I can't fault the man. You know, I doubt any of this shit with these people was personal. There may have been 1 or 2 people where it was, but none of it was personal. It was all just, look, we need to cut because next year we're not going to be, you know, we're not going to have $1 billion in revenue because we're missing all of our live. We'll be missing 90% of our live venue revenue.
And even then, we're not even considering the fact that what does Vince get most of his money from?
Merchandise.
Not the audience showing up.
Yeah.
Not merchandise, not nothing. It's the TV deals.
True.
We could watch every fan and every person pull out of the product. But so long as that doesn't touch the ratings, the TV deals will still be there. Vince McMahon will still be paid. There will still be money flowing. The merchandise, you know where that goes to? That goes to the superstars. Why do you think John Cena has so much fucking money? Because he was head of merchandise. He was the number one seller of merchandise for how long?
For damn near a decade. I actually looked up people like Cena and Lesnar's contracts. Like Lesnar's on a 1 year, $12.5 million deal right now. Or no, yeah, he is, but not by much. Like Cena's at like 11.75 million, and that blew my mind considering Cena's only really shown up maybe like 3 months.
2 or 3 times.
You know, like out of a year. You know, like I was like, wow, Dolph Ziggler's making $6 million a year.
Exactly, I hate that. Numbers. People are always like, Dolph Ziggler is just a downtrodden, and because Vince McMahon was like, we're not pushing him. That one time fucking 7 years ago, you think Vince wants his fucking head. No, if Vince didn't like Dolph, you'd know.
Dolph wouldn't be making that much money. Tell you that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, ultimately, it's funny to me that you brought up the TV contracts because I actually had a discussion in the idiot group with somebody about the television contract because he said that AEW is officially the second biggest wrestling company in the world next to WWE, and I was like, whoa, pump your fucking brakes there. I like AEW.
According to who?
Exactly. And so I was like, no, AEW is probably second, probably behind New Japan. New Japan is probably the number 2 promotion worldwide, and then you might get to AEW and ROH and all that. But they're not even to me, ROH would be the second biggest in the US next to WWE.
Exactly.
If
we're talking notoriety, AEW is not even on the map.
I'm like, AEW is not even as big as AAA down in Mexico.
It's about longevity in this.
Exactly. It's about history.
You know why people respect TNA? Because we've seen the quote unquote death of TNA how many fucking times now?
Yep. They keep finding their way back into the picture.
Exactly. For what it's worth, TNA is the bug that won't die.
Yep. Pretty much. And sometimes, I'll be honest with you, every time news pops up about Impact, I'm always like, wow, they're still open? Like, I thought they closed a couple years ago. Oh, shit. Mainly because there's not any channels that I watch that Impact comes on anymore. When Impact was still coming on Pop, I still knew about it because I tune into them every now and then. But since they took them off of Pop and put them on Axis, I don't get Axis, so I don't ever think about TNA.
It's the same problem with New Japan now. Unless you're like the hardcore fan that's going to openly seek it out, it's a lot harder to get a hold of. It is.
Yes.
But even then, it's about the notoriety that we've seen TNA around for damn near 20 years now.
Yep.
And that is something.
Well, it gets me to the actual conversation where this dude goes, what are you talking about, dude? AEW just signed a 3-year deal with TNT for $175 million. That alone makes them the second biggest company in the world. And I was like, you don't understand how TV contracts work, do you? I'm like, out of that.
You use that word like you know what it means, but I don't think you know what it means.
Exactly. I'm like, look, bro. And so I went and dug in and found an article that really dug into the TNA or the AEW contract with TNT. And AEW is not slated to make a lot of money off that contract because it's basically a prove it deal that they have with TNT because they were an unproven product coming into it all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically like a prove it deal where TNT makes the bulk of the money off of that TV deal. I was like, so you can't just split it up and say, oh, over 3 years, that means that they're already worth more than the $50 million in revenue that New Japan did. No, it doesn't work like that.
Have you seen what Wrestle Kingdom looks like in the Tokyo Dome?
Exactly.
I guarantee you that stadium is 3 times the crowd that AEW and TNA have pulled on their best nights.
Exactly.
You sold out a place in 31 minutes, yeah, but did you sell it out for 2 nights straight?
Exactly. And here's the thing about it. Here's the thing that's going to hurt the feelings of AEW fans when I say this. I'm sorry, y'all really got to get this through your head. Your ratings have been dropping since the stay-at-home orders have been in place, and that doesn't make any sense. Everybody's at home on Wednesday nights now. Or a lot more people are at home than were before. And your numbers aren't going up, you should be clearing the million every week. I hate to say it like that because I love AEW and it sounds like I'm taking a shot and I'm downing them, but it's just the truth. Your numbers have not been climbing since everybody's been being forced to spend most of their time at home and since the bars and the clubs have all been closed. What do people have better to do on a Wednesday night than watch wrestling if you're a wrestling fan? And they're just not tuning in to Dynamite. Now, probably about 60% of that is people who just don't want to watch wrestling right now because there's no fans. And to them, the fans make up 80% of the environment of the show. Okay? Some of that, I'd say about 60% of that, 60% of it is that. But other than that, sorry, these people are just tuning out. And they're tuning out from wrestling altogether because WWE's numbers are down too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a point where we got to get to the realization that I love AEW. Oh, and I'll throw this last fact out there before we move on from all of this part of the talk to talk about actual in-ring action and what's been going on Raw and SmackDown and all that. People are wondering why WWE is being allowed to go back to live shows while AEW, unfortunately, is not. or live recordings,
Yeah.
or no, doing live TV and stuff like that. And it's something that AEW fans mock WWE for constantly. And I'm going to say this once and once only, really. Or actually, I'm going to repeat myself probably twice immediately afterwards, but after that. I'm going to say it for you once. WWE is categorized as sports entertainment. AEW is categorized as pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Sports entertainment, pro wrestling.
It's like y'all didn't want to be sports entertainers. You wanted to be wrestling, right?
Y'all wanted to be pro wrestlers. Well, guess what? Pro wrestlers are not considered essential. But in the grand scheme of things, of them working to get the MLB, the NBA, the National Hockey League, and the NFL back up and running, WWE is now considered a sport.
Mm.
Which
Like,
is why
all these people are sitting here like, oh, it's because he's close with Trump, right? It's because he's close. And then people are like, oh, the sheriff in Orlando told them to shut down the PC, but Linda McMahon fucking paid them off, so they let them. And it's like, no, it's because when Vince McMahon goes out there, he acknowledges the fact that he's paying actors.
Yep. And so at the end of the day, it's that simple flaw that's not allowing you to go back to work and continue shooting shows right this moment. Now odds are some arguments will be made that'll end up having it be all wrestling promotions in the state of Florida are allowed to go back to working, and AEW will be allowed to go back to work. But the reason why WWE gets the couple of week head start has nothing to do with Vince McMahon trying to put down AEW and stomp his competition. It has to do with how he labeled his product.
Mm.
Sorry to tell y'all. It is what it is. But okay, so because of that, we've gotten some good Raws. I've thought that Raw has been good over the past couple of weeks. What has your thoughts been?
I honestly think that, like, despite the state that the wrestling world is in, it's put out some pretty presentable television.
Yeah.
Like, for a minute, it like, pre-Mania, I feel like Raw and SmackDown and WWE as a whole were getting in a really, really unwatchable state damn near.
Yeah.
But right after Mania, it feels like it's picked up a good bit.
Bro, that Raw after
NXT
Mania
included,
was good.
but Raw after Mania was pretty fucking clean. I remember watching it and I was like, wait, it's already over? Like,
I remember the 3-for-1 match, or the three matches for the price of one that they gave us, with having the Street Profits come out and face off against Austin Theory and whatchamacallit, and Zelina was at ringside, and then that ends up getting thrown out, and Bianca Belair comes out, and then her and Zelina get a little one-on-one match going for a little bit, and then that gets messed up, and then you have the 6-man tag finally between the Street Profits and Bianca, and then Theory, whatchamacallit, and Angel Garza, Theory Garza, and Vega. Yeah, I was like, okay, that was pretty cool, and I like Andrade's little stable he's got now. Or it's like actually Selena Vegas' stable.
Selena Vegas' little triad, but like they have managed to make me care about an angle between the Street Profits and two people who hadn't even debuted a year ago.
Exactly.
Like, if you put this much care into the new guys like you do with these guys, then shit would be golden.
Yep.
Like, Angel Garza was good on NXT, and I think somehow he's still just as good on the main roster. And that's not something you can say about most of the people pulled up from NXT.
Amen. And let's dig into real quick your thoughts on the Gargano versus Ciampa, Rebel Heart versus Lionheart, or whatever it was called.
Fucking Blackheart, baby.
Blackheart versus Rebel Heart. Yeah, man, that match was amazing.
It really is getting up there with Triple H and Shawn and Orton and Cena for me.
Oh yeah, easily one of the best feuds of the past decade, and easily top 50 feuds all time. Like,
easy, no doubt.
Those guys went at it, and I was happy watching the entire thing. And
Whole way through.
I do admit that it kind of disappointed me that Candice LeRae had to play such a big role in the finish of the match. But it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure that if Dr. Britt Baker, I believe she's the one that's married to Tommaso, right?
I thought that was... Is it? No fucking way.
I want to say... I might be completely wrong, but I want to say that Britt Baker is married to somebody who's on the WWE NXT roster.
I thought it was fucking Zack Ryder.
Was it?
Or was that... No, it's Adam Cole. That's Adam Cole.
Oh, that's Adam Cole's girl. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
wait,
yeah,
no,
my
yeah.
bad.
Keep going, though. Keep going, though. I'm going to look up... I'm going to check that, though. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm looking it up myself. Yeah, I believe there's a build, weight, moves, powerbomb. It doesn't, damn it. I got her Wikipedia thing here, but it doesn't say anything about who she's married to. But anyway, yeah. But like, it would have been nice. It would. But I love me some Mr. Ciampa and what he does, because that boy is just badass.
Absolute fucking savage. Every time I work it, I see him work, and it's like he gives off this very Kratos vibe, you know.
Yeah. Have you? No, Austin. Oh, Adam Cole. Yeah, Austin Jenkins.
Austin Jenkins.
Did you see?
Sorry, go ahead.
Did you see the end of NXT last night?
I did not get to catch the ending. What happened?
Ciampa was giving like some kind of speech about him and Gargano's match and how it's the feud is over now and Gargano got the better of him, and then all of a sudden he gets picked up by the waist, body slammed and beat down, and I did not recognize the dude that stuck his face in the camera and was like, tick tock, and then they cut off, and I was like, who the hell was that dude?
Oh shit?
Yeah.
No way. No confirmation on that, any?
No, I haven't seen anything on it.
Oh, no fucking way. I got you. No, I'm going to check that shit out. I'll do some detective work.
Shoot, I even went online, and normally I could go online and go onto the dirt sheet pages, and it'll tell me who it was, but I typed in who was the guy that beat up Tommaso Ciampa at the end of NXT, and nothing came up. But it was it was also immediately after the episode went on air, so maybe the articles hadn't been written yet.
Okay, I got you.
So,
Detective Alpha is on the case.
There you go. So, but yeah, like I was impressed with that, man. I don't know, like I said, the people who I see that bitch about WWE are just bitter people who just don't like WWE. Like, I've yet to see anybody.
Just like you're nitpicking such stupid shit.
Exactly. I'm like, dude, just sit back and enjoy the fucking product. That's sitting in front of you.
Yeah. Like my mother, like my own mother was like, I think people don't understand that you can have a favorite wrestler without them needing the world championship.
Thank you. Like, and I've had that conversation with a couple of people in AEW because I've been calling them out because I told them, I find that most people that say, fuck WWE, everything they do is crap, most of you people, if I dig into why you're pissed off at WWE, all it is that WWE didn't push the wrestler that you felt deserved to push. So you got all fed up and pissed off, and since your favorite wrestler didn't win the championship, you didn't want to watch WWE anymore, and you took it personally, and so on and so forth. Look, I wanted Kofi Kingston to win the WWE title the first time that he went after it when Randy Orton had it. But I didn't stop watching WWE. Thank you. I didn't stop watching WWE because he didn't. And guess what? 9 years later, I got my Kofi Mania. And Kofi won the title. Yeah. And shit, I could have stopped watching WWE plenty of times during the whole Daniel Bryan storyline. As many times as they gave it to him and then took it away and then almost gave it to him and then didn't. I could have been pissed and stopped watching then, but I didn't. And I got Yeso-Mania.
Exactly. And then you'll say that shit, and a lot of people will be like, I shouldn't have to wait that long for it. Like, don't even play that card because you know what, dude? I don't know if you know this, but how many matches did Kenny Omega and Okada have before Omega got the fucking title?
Yep.
We had to see them go at it for damn near 4 years before we got to see that payoff. And people were like, "Oh, it's great, best feud ever." And then when we have to wait for something on the other hand, it's a problem. Like, stop it.
Yep. Stop it. Be consistent. Be consistent with your
Let
bitching.
people enjoy shit.
But no, really, like I've always said that like, yeah, I bitch about WWE, but I also understand and have been told and talked to and taught about the bigger picture of things. And so normally I'll wait. Like the AJ Styles Nakamura feud, an amazing feud. Only thing wrong with it was the payoff was not there. You know what I'm saying? Shinsuke should have won the belt. That was the payoff. He had already lost to AJ Styles twice. On that third time, that WrestleMania match, he should have won the belt.
Exactly. Like I'm not saying that you don't need to vocalize it when you're unpleased with the product, you know?
Right. But you don't. But you shouldn't judge everything that they do moving forward based off of that one bad mistake back then.
Very true. Like, looking back on it, even in most recent times, it's like, yeah, I'm fucking, like, I'm not livid, I'm not through the roof, but I think it's complete bullshit that they put the NXT title on Charlotte. That
the women's title.
Horrible booking decision. One of the worst decisions they've made in a long time. I'm going to put it right next to, not above or below, the burial of Asuka at Mania from Charlotte at Mania.
Yep.
Same situation, different people.
Yep.
That's all it is. And I'm going to vocalize that shit. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, Vince, you fucking murderer, you're going to die for this company to get any better. Trips need to do this and you need to die now. It's like, stop it. Chill out.
Now let me state this right now. 90% of the people that I see in these wrestling whatchamacallits, 90% of these people that I see don't correctly use the word bury because they don't understand what it means to bury. We discussed this on an earlier episode before, but like that 90% of the people that I see have that defect. They don't understand what it means to bury. Bury doesn't mean that your favorite wrestler doesn't win the championship when you think when you think he should. Burying means basically you go from being an okay mid-carder to being the Brooklyn Brawler.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're coming out and you're just losing every single match for no reason. Even the matches that you should win against up-and-coming guys, you're losing. Mm-hmm. That's being buried.
Exactly.
Being buried doesn't mean getting to the championship level and losing and then getting to the championship level again and then losing. That's not being buried. That just means that they think that you're good enough to be in the main event picture. They just don't think you're good enough to win the title. Which may be true.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like, a burial is what happened to Finn Balor like a year ago. Remember when Kane came through and he beat Balor in like fucking 5 minutes straight, no effort?
Yeah.
That was a burial.
Yep.
Because after that point, Finn had no success until he went to NXT.
Yep. And he was hardly even used during the time until he went. Being buried doesn't mean you're constantly in the championship picture and you just don't win the championship. That's not being buried.
Exactly. People be like, oh, Hiroki Goto got fucking buried. No. He didn't get buried because he didn't lose the championship.
Yeah.
Hiroki Goto has been in the main event picture for damn near 16 years now.
Yep. People just need to get that. Yep, Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler has not been buried. He's won 2 world championships with WWE, and the man has been in a title picture for over 70% of his career.
One of, if not this generation's Mr. Perfect.
Yes.
Because he put the mid-card on his back over and over again for the past 11 years.
But I'll be honest with you. I don't see Dolph as a main event guy anymore. I did at a point in his career. But I don't see he can perform at a main event level, but I just don't see him as that guy.
Mm-hmm. SummerSlam 2016, Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler got put in the main event picture. How was that match received?
Yep.
Horribly. Yeah.
So yeah, man, like, and that's just the point of it, is that, to put it bluntly for wrestling fans, sit down, shut the fuck up, and just enjoy the fact that we still have a product to watch it all. It really boils down to that. Because the real talk of this is that what they're doing, those wrestlers... Oh, and that was another thing I got into it with a guy about. He was like, Vince is forcing his talent to come in. No. Actually, an article was just put out a few weeks back when all this started that WWE told all their talent, if you do not feel comfortable coming in, you don't have to. And they're like, yeah, but they lose their spot and they lose their push. Well, of course, because we can't give you a push if you're not here.
You fucking fool! Like how? What do you want him to do?
You know, like, of course you have to lose your push, but you have to decide if whether or not coming in and getting your push is more important than your health and safety. You know, but WWE cannot afford to, nor should they decide to shut down operations completely and just pay everybody to stay at home until all this is over. No, that's not how any business operates successfully. So WWE said, look, we're going to continue doing what we do. We have some people that are willing to come in and make the risk. You can choose to and you can choose not to. It's up to you. Roman Reigns chose to stay at home. So odds are we're not going to see Roman Reigns on WWE TV again until all of this starts clearing up.
Exactly. And quite frankly, I respect him for it.
Thank you. Yes, does that mean Roman Reigns loses his push now that WWE Universal Championship reign of his is now Braun Strowman's? Yeah, but odds are as soon as Roman Reigns things clear up and Roman Reigns comes back, he's going to be immediately entered into that Universal title picture and face whoever the champ is.
Mm-hmm.
Call him. Okay. You know, I'm like, you know, so yes, it has to be that way, but it doesn't mean Vince is the dictator extraordinaire and is being mean and you guys better get in here or else. No, that's not the case.
Exactly. Like, I love the memes just as much as anybody else. Like, one of the first times I was on this show with you, I came through and I was like, all right, I'm going to keep it real with you. When Vince McMahon looks you in the eye, he takes 10 years off your life and adds it to his. And that's one of the first things that I said. Like, yeah, I'll take part in the McMahons fucking have testicles made of hornets and nails. I'll take part in those jokes all day. But in reality, it's like, you do your best to run a multi-billion-dollar giant and see how that makes you look.
Exactly. Sometimes you have to cut people. Sometimes you have to do what it takes to put the business first, and that's all Vince is doing. But that all being said, we can go on ahead and wrap it up there. Do you have a wrestler of the week for us, sir?
Oh, I do. All
right.
You know,
Take
I
it
do.
away.
I'm doing a first. I wasn't sure about this because it is a little bit unorthodox, but I'm doing it and I'm making an exception given the circumstances. I've had a lot of different wrestlers as wrestlers of the week, right? I've had big men, small men. I've had the females. And I'm not doing this just to be inclusive, of course, but I'm putting in a tag team as a group this time.
Okay.
And you best believe it's the fucking Revival. But looking back on it, I feel like the Revival really was a tag team that did a lot of shit that nobody else could do in the last 6 years.
Oh, yeah.
I watched them go from Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson to the Mechanics to the Revival to the first ever tag team Grand Slam champions.
Yeah.
And in my honest opinion, those two men have put out consistently the most amazing matches. Straight fucking bangers. When they debuted the night after Mania a few years back, I marked out like an idiot because I was bear witness to all of their work in NXT.
Hell yeah.
Like I said it before, I'm a huge lover of tag team wrestling and their gimmick of not being pro wrestlers and not being sports entertainers, but being pro wrestlers.
Yeah.
And being like this weird little throwback to the Brainbusters, you know, like they're Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson in cosplay. They did the jackets and the scarves and everything. And quite frankly, it was fucking great. And even when it came down to them being like Corbin's little lackeys, I found enjoyment in that too because they very clearly were very at least having fun with it.
Yeah, they were into the role.
And I feel like, exactly, I feel like among the Undisputed Era, among the Young Bucks, I feel like the Revival FTR, that shit is one of, that's a generation-defining tag team.
Yeah.
And among the releases that came out, I think the Revival was the one that hit most hard for me because it was like, fuck, they're just so damn good.
Yeah. Well, you know they'll land in ROH or AEW or New Japan. They'll get work right away.
Dude, can you imagine the shit we're going to see now? Like, dude, can you imagine the Revival versus LAX?
Yeah.
Or can you imagine the Revival against fucking the Lucha Bros and shit like that, the Young Bucks.
Oh no, the
That
ones
shit
that are
was gonna
cracking
be-
me up. The ones that are cracking me up are the people that are like, Kurt Angle should come over to AEW. No, dog.
Like, no, don't ever say that shit again.
Kurt's done that already. He did that when he went to Impact Wrestling. Kurt's ran that. He's good. Kurt's not trying
Kurt's
to do
going.
that.
It's going home.
Kurt's going home, exactly. You know, but
It's going home.
It was that one that cracked me up, that they were like, Kurt Angle should go. And then, okay, so have you seen the video that was going around in an interview with The Rock? And The Rock says, yeah, I watch AEW. Yeah, I've been keeping an eye. I'm happy for their success. Man, that AEW fan page was so blown up that day. The Rock says he watches AEW. The Rock says he watches AEW. I was like, bro, if you go on the internet, you can find articles where The Rock says he watches New Japan as well, and he also says he watches ROH from time to time.
Exactly.
I'm like,
it
doesn't mean The Rock's going to show up.
He's gonna fucking take his ass there.
Yep. I'm like, exactly. I'm like, there were certain people that were like, dude, like, we tried to tell y'all this shit with the Randy Orton shit. None of those top guys is ever even coming close to land. Like, John Moxley was about as close to a top guy as you're going to get from WWE. Like, that's
You're
just
never
real
going to see Tyler Black there. You're never going to see Seth Rollins switch it up like that.
Exactly. You're not going to see Seth Rollins. You're not going to see Roman Reigns ever end up in AEW. You're not going to see Randy Orton. These people are not going to end up in AEW. You know, just let those ideas go. People like The Rock. The Rock's not even going to make a special guest appearance. Not because he doesn't want to ruin his thing, but why? What benefit does The Rock get from it?
He's loyal.
You know what I'm saying? He gets his relationship gets ruined with Vince McMahon also. But now, I'm sorry to say it, AEW is kind of below The Rock's level. Like, The Rock is a global icon. Like, really, what business would he have showing up on AEW? Like,
literally the number one most paid actor on the face of this planet right now.
Yeah, so
that's all types of way to spell not fucking happening.
Exactly.
But no, yeah. Going back to it though, like the revival. Like, if you're looking for some notable matches, Gargano and Ciampa versus the Revival is textbook heel versus face.
I've seen a couple of matches between DIY and the Revival. I've seen a couple of those.
Yeah, and that shit has always put out some top shit for me.
Well, there you go.
My wrestlers of the week this time are Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson, my personal favorite tag team on the face of this planet right now, next to Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish.
There you go.
The Undisputed Era in the form of FTR. Never let that die.
Nope. All right, man. So we can wrap it up on that note. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, because it's Sunday now, because this is going to post later. So hope you guys have enjoyed your week. I know I've enjoyed mine. I hope you guys are staying in, staying up, and staying positive during all this. And most importantly, staying safe.
Stay safe.
Yeah. So, and we'll see y'all next week for the next edition of Cheap Pop Podcast. I hope you guys continue enjoying this weekend full of material from 4 Aces Presents. We should have Now versus Then coming on tomorrow. We should have had Brick already today, Inspire Radio. And next week we're going to have Dirty Talk 101 is back with Full Effect Miss Toy on Thursday night, and then me back again with another KD5P. I've been kind of not doing the Double K's classrooms recently because the lack of topics in sports, and I hate repeating myself. So no, there'll be no Double K's classrooms for the foreseeable future. There will be some West Coast biases, but no Double K's classroom. I'll be doing KD5P every week. So tune in for some good music with me doing some Billboard chart topping hits and then some little lesser known hits as well. So other than that, join us again next Sunday for Cheap Pop Podcast. And like we said, stay safe. Any last words for him, Alpha?
Now goes my people. FTR, baby.